3, 2, 1.
The Class 317 is a British 4-car AC electric multiple unit, and the Class 321 is another British 4-car AC electric multiple unit. Some of you are probably confused as to why I'm reviewing these two completely different trains together, but think about it. Both of these trains were built in the 80s. Both are 4-car electric trains. Both have the same performance and top speed. They both run suburban, outer urban and regional services. Both share similar seating layouts, and both of them are even compatible to work with one another. Most importantly, my opinion on both of these trains is pretty much the same, bar a few technicalities here and there. So instead of wasting your time with making two videos where I would just copy and paste the text-to-speech script, I'm instead looking at these two totally different trains together. Currently these trains can be seen serving places such as Liverpool Street, Romford, Harlow, London Stansted Airport, Chelmsford, Clacton, Southend, Braintree, Colchester Town, Cambridge, and Whittlesford Parkway. Both of these trains also have Scottish equivalents called the Class 318 and 320 respectively, and whilst I haven't rode on either of those trains, I doubt that my opinions would change even if I did, so don't worry about it. With more than 30 years of service on the British railway network, how well would I say these trains have done so far? Let's find out. As alluded to earlier, the 317 and 321 run on a large variety of train services. One day could see a unit run a journey as short as the Romford to Upminster shuttle, a peak hour London to Milton Keynes stopper, a semi-fast service to Bishop's Stortford or Screw-it. How about the fast London to Norwich Express? Yes, that has happened several times in the past. At the time of making this video, both classes of train are currently operated by the same train company, Greater Anglia, which has made the goal of filming them a lot easier, if I must say. In the past, these units have been operated by a plethora of other train companies such as London Midland, London Overground, C2C, and of course, worst capital disconnect. This has even resulted in the units being in so many livery variations that it's quite rare to see two units in the same livery running together, especially the case for the Class 321. Fun fact, around 20 years ago, First North Western ran London Euston to Manchester Airport services with some of the most obtuse stopping patterns known to man. Guess what trains they used? That's right, the 309. And they use the 322, which were former Stansted Express versions of the 321 as well. A handful of Class 321s also saw use around the Leeds and Doncaster areas, before being displaced by the Spanish Class 331. These units have now joined the Greater Anglia fleet, and are expected to stay there for the time being. Bonus fun fact, these units once saw use on a temporary shuttle between Peterborough and Leeds back in 1998, and I'm not making that up. Photographic proof will be linked in the description on that. Fortunately, I haven't heard any horror stories of such journeys that the 317 has encountered, unless you count a brief period of time running on the Moorgate to Bedford Thames link route back in the day. That being said, both the 317 and 322s have had to transport passengers to and from London Stansted Airport. Make of that what you will. In 2014, the newer variant of the 317s were given a refurbish by Greater Anglia. This did not, however, include the addition of a wheelchair-accessible toilet, and thus, 7 years later, most of them were donated to the scrap god. Money well spent there, lads. If only that 11-year deadline was extended to be a little bit longer. 2016 saw the 321s go through a more substantial upgrade called the Renatus project, overhauling the units to be more up to date with various additions such as new traction equipment. It should be noted that even to the date of this video being made, that not all of the 321s have been given the Renatus upgrade, because lol. We will take a look at them in more detail later on. The 317 and 321 are fast. As mentioned in the 319 video, these units have a rough acceleration rate of 0.55 meters per second squared, which, let's be honest, isn't too great. On the plus side, both of these trains can reach a top speed of 100 miles per hour, linking back to the flexible rolls that they can run. The Renatus 321s have a very minor acceleration advantage thanks to the upgraded traction. Wait, hold on a second. It reaches its top speed more than 2 minutes faster than the standard ones. Holy crap. What are those traction motors powered by?
Cocainum.
Okay, sure, whatever. So what are these trains like to ride on? We'll start with looking at the 317s first, as we are reviewing two different trains. Remember, we will then look at the unrefurbished 321s before looking at the Renatus versions and comparing them. Let's get this over with. The older 317 variants offer a 3+2 seating arrangement throughout standard class. Whilst these seats are springy and have a good amount of give in them, I find them to be way too low to the ground to be anywhere near comfortable. This is made worse with what could only be described as irritating window alignment. Seriously, unless you find the lucky position in the coach, you're either looking towards a window pillar or looking through barely anything at all. Right at the front of the train is a nice vestibule area which offers bench-like seats which can be folded to make way for cycles, push chairs, or any of your 199 odd cigarettes brought over from Malaga that are totally for your own personal use. No, really, officer, I swear it. Manual hopper windows are provided, albeit in a peculiar location compared to other trains. I don't know if it improves the wind flow or not, but it pales in comparison to standard aircon. First class is honestly quite underwhelming here. Okay, sure, it's a 2+2 arrangement and the seats are bigger, but you don't get any tables, or lights, or curtains, or anything you would expect to see in first class outside of armrests. Oh, and of course, said armrests are welded on tighter than the RLNI's monthly donations. The 317s originally had a pair of toilets that were located towards the center of the train, though these first variants have now been modified with a snazzy single disabled. Oh damn it, now I have to redo this darn shot all over again. As I was saying, these new disabled toilets have a sliding door which reminds me of the ones used on the class 158s, and the toilet feels just slightly bigger here than in said units. These disabled toilets are obviously a massive improvement in comparison to the originals, as you can actually turn around inside them without feeling like you're inside a coffin. There's also now a dedicated wheelchair space provided, so yeah, pretty good upgrade, so thank you for that. Whilst I mentioned earlier that the newer 317s were not compliant to run today, some of those units were refurbished during the Stansted Express days and thus, they were permitted to continue running. Let's have a look through the interior to these variants, as there are some worthy differences to cover. The main difference we can see already is the 2+2 seating arrangement, along with the more standard hopper window style. That's a good start already. Window alignment still isn't perfect, but at the very least extra luggage spaces have been installed, which makes sense considering the services they used to run on. I've mentioned in the past that I'm not a fan of these Chapman styled seats, but for some reason, these ones are incredibly comfortable to sit in. No, really, I mean it. Folding tables are provided behind the seats, which are even smaller than the ones seen on the 365. But the bigger tables seen in the other seat formations are just big enough to stage your trading card game of choice on. These units have quite a unique toilet arrangement at the center of the train. They still have a pair of them, but look. One toilet is just the original unrefurbished version, and is just barely big enough to fit a human being inside. The other toilet, literally right in front of, is a massive, and I do mean massive, disabled toilet which even has a cute little hand dryer to the side. Well, if you ever need to practice your MLG quickscopes in a large area where you will never be spied upon, I think I've found a good candidate. But yes, good toilet indeed. It even has a disabled space nearby and a bunch of folding seats too, which is very nice. I've been saving the best bit about these units for last. First class. Ooh boy. To prevent me from writing out a uni paper explaining why I'm in love with this first class interior, I will simply say that in spite of its rather tatty appearance due to age and suffering on demoted services, the Stansted Express 317's first class seats are the second best seats I have ever rode on any train in my life. I love them that much, and I pine for them in my sleep. I will be willing to buy them off a scrapyard once they are disposed of. I'm dead serious. Okay, so that was the interiors for the 317 done. Now we still have the 321s left to cover, so let's try and cover this swiftly. Just for the sake of variety, some of the shots you will see here are actually filmed from a Northern Class 322, but don't worry, the differences won't affect the conclusion or anything. we are presented yet again with lots of the same problems that the older 317's interior had, mainly having a 3+2 seating arrangement with seats that are a bit too low to the ground. The shape of these seats are different to the 317's, yes, but since it's hard to get comfortable in them, I don't really know if they are better or worse than the 317 seats. It's not helped by the continued appearance of crappy window alignment with the seats either. Much like the 317, one end of the train has an area of bench-like folding seats which can be used for storing items like well, bottles of perfume, I dunno. What do people actually buy in Essex? Okay, moving on. Towards the center of the train, and again, much like the 317's, a pair of toilets are located opposite one another. My camera makes it difficult to show how tiny they are, but they clearly weren't designed to be able to accommodate a human being. Let me put it to you like this, the entrance to the toilet is barely the length of my forearm. If it were any smaller, it could be confused for a medium-sized student bedsit in West London. I'll get this out of the way and say that the 322s are a bit better in this regard, as one of those toilets was vote kicked and a large disabled toilet was installed in one of the front coaches, along with the addition of an actual wheelchair space too. Bonus ducks for these vibrant disabled stripes across the doors, where it's located too. I seriously like this minor addition and wish all trains in the UK had some form of these. Surely first class must be better than the 317. Right, lol, don't make me laugh. Okay, we get 2+2 seating and armrests that actually move. But wait, where are my tables? Where am I supposed to place my refreshing bottle of volcanicity? Levitation of objects isn't possible yet, so how about you give me some tables please? Right, that wasn't as good as I expected it to be. Hopefully the interior quality can be redeemed with the Renatus 321s. How bad can it be? Oh goodness, please no. Not only do we still have to deal with 3+2 seating, we get rock hard ironing board 3+2 seating. The worst kind. Some may accuse me of overreacting, but I'd like to inform you that I rode on these seats on an hour-long ride from London to Manningtree, replacing a Class 90 intercity set, so I hope you can understand why I'm slightly better to these seats. There are at least some good things this overhaul did which I can mention, like how the interior looks completely new inside. It's much more vibrant too, but it's a shame that the seat to window alignment clearly is lacking again. The project does deliver some good things though. Air conditioning is finally installed, meaning you won't melt into a cornetto ice cream on your journey towards Clacton. Seat power points have been added to, and the toilets have been reconfigured into the same arrangement that we saw already on the Northern 322. This also includes an actual wheelchair space and folding chairs which are probably more comfortable than the normal seats. First class has been altered as well. We finally get some tables here, but the seats are still not what you'd expect comfort wise, despite being bigger and offering a 2+2 arrangement. May I recommend just, well, not buying a first class ticket instead? The 317s and 321s are currently in the process of being replaced. Some units have already been sacrificed to our Lord and Savior, the scrap god, whilst the others are slowly being replaced by the Class 710 and the Class 720 where applicable. As of the date of making this video, I have rode on the Class 710 multiple times, enough to express a short one-word review of it to spoil for you. And whilst I have not rode on the 720 yet, I can at least say that it seems to be one step in the right direction, especially when people revolted about them having ironing board seats before those plans were thankfully changed. Also nice that they actually have tables too. Conclusion. After riding these trains multiple times back to back, I can say that this is easily one of the most difficult conclusions I have had to reach in these videos. On one hand, we have the Stansted Express 317s which I love riding on and still think they hold up pretty well to this day. And on the other hand, we have the technically superior Renatus 321s which to me are the greatest examples of 2 steps forward, 2 steps back in the railway today. Logically, I should say that they are on equal footing to the likes of the Class 319, in that they are quite decent trains for the services that they run on. However, I don't feel too comfortable with that conclusion and thus, I've quickly made this sliding scale of decent to showcase my thoughts on all of these units. Really won't lie and say that this is the best I can do with this conclusion. These trains are decent, yes, and they have been flagship units for their respective routes and services since the 1980s. Let's hope that once they are all replaced, that they are given a dignified retirement, like a rail tour across East Anglia, for example. Now you know my thoughts on the 317 and 321s. Go out there and pester second-rate video game developers to trespass onto a stabled class 317 in Hartford just to record a few extra sound samples for an elderly video game series, because of course that's a good idea and I see no way that could backfire.